Hello, and welcome to this creepypasta storytime video. Before we start with today's 3 creepypastas, I suggest you to follow this channel to be updated for daily creepypastas. With that being said, let's get right into the mysterious world of the unknown. Sasha's hands trembled as she attempted to fix her car in the middle of the dark, desolated road. The only sound was the howling wind that seemed to echo through the woods. Suddenly, she heard a rustling sound coming from the nearby trees. Her heart racing, she cautiously approached the woods, her eyes scanning the darkness. As she moved deeper into the woods, Sasha could feel an eerie presence watching her every move. Suddenly, she heard the sound of footsteps behind her. She turned around to see a group of creatures with razor-sharp teeth and glowing eyes, their skin covered in dirt and blood. Sasha tried to run, but the creatures were too fast, and soon she found herself surrounded. They dragged her to their underground lair, where she saw remains of their past victims, picked clean to the bone. Sasha realized she was their next meal. As the creatures closed in on her, Sasha's mind raced with fear and desperation. She scrambled for any weapons she could find, but it was no use. The creatures were too strong, too vicious, and too determined to feast on her flesh. The last thing Sasha saw was the glint of their teeth as they descended upon her. Her screams echoed through the woods, but no one was there to hear them. The cannibalistic creatures had claimed another victim, and Sasha's fate was sealed in the darkness forever. Josh opened his eyes and tried to sit up, but was immediately hit with a sharp pain in his head. He looked around and realized he was lying in a hospital bed, with tubes and wires attached to his body. Confused and disoriented, he tried to remember how he ended up here, but his memory was a blank. As he tried to get up, he noticed that something was off about the hospital. It was eerie quiet, with no signs of doctors, nurses, or patients. Josh got out of bed and started to explore the empty halls, hoping to find someone who could explain what was going on. But as he walked through the silent corridors, he started to feel like he was being watched. The shadows seemed to move on their own, and strange whispers echoed through the halls. Josh's heart started to racing as he realized he was not alone in the hospital. As he continued his search, he started to piece together fragments of his memory. He remembered being in a car accident and being brought to this hospital for treatment. But as he developed deeper, he discovered that the doctors here were not just treating patients. they were experimenting on them. The ghosts of the former patients were seeking revenge on the doctors who had tortured and killed them in the name of science. And now, Josh was caught in the middle of their vengeful rampage. He tried to escape, but the doors were locked, and the ghosts seemed to be everywhere. They whispered his name, calling him to join them in their internal torment. Josh knew he had to find a way out before he too became a victim of the hospital's dark past. But as the ghosts closed in, he realized that escape might not be possible. In the end, Josh was never seen again. Some say he was taken by the vengeful spirits of the hospital, trapped forever in their eternal nightmare. Others say he simply vanished, leaving behind only a mystery that would never be solved. Paul had been devastated since his girlfriend Lily died in a tragic car accident. He couldn't believe she was gone and couldn't let go of her memory. One night, Paul received a text from Lily's phone number, and to his surprise, it was a message from her. It read, "I miss you, Paul." Paul was shocked and confused, but was glad to hear from her, or so he thought. As the days passed, Paul kept receiving messages from Lily's number, but they were different from her usual texts. The messages were eerie, and it seemed as though Lily's personality had changed. One night, Paul received a message from Lily's number that said, "I want to see you, Paul. Meet me at the old abandoned house on the outskirts of town." Despite his initial reservations, Paul felt drawn to the idea of seeing Lily again and decided to go. When he arrived, the house was dark and there was no sign of Lily. Suddenly, he felt a cold breeze and heard Lily's voice behind him. When he turned around, he saw a figure that resembled Lily, but her eyes were black and empty. Paul realized that the spirit that had been texting him was not Lily, but a malevolent entity that had possessed her body. It had been manipulating him all along to get him to come to the abandoned house and possess him too. Paul was trapped, and he knew it. The dark spirit had him in its grip, and he could feel its presence consuming him. It was too late for him to escape. Paul knew that he was doomed to spend eternity under the control of the spirit that had once mimicked his dead girlfriend's voice.